You've probably imagined your own funeral. Most people have. But almost no one imagines what happens to their body in the 24 hours before anyone even gets the chance to grieve. That part is stranger than anything in the service. Your body doesn't stop. It just changes jobs. The moment your heart stops, your cells don't know it yet. They keep working. They keep burning the last scraps of oxygen in your blood like a factory running on backup generators after the main power cuts out. This lasts only minutes. But those minutes are busy. Neurons keep firing. Some researchers, including a team led by Dr. Jima Borjijan at the University of Michigan, recorded a dramatic surge of brain activity in dying rats, a final storm of electrical signals more organized than ordinary waking thought. No one knows exactly what a human experiences during this surge. But the timing lines up, eerily, with reports from people revived after cardiac arrest, who often describe vivid, hyperreal final moments. Is that the source of near-death experiences? Nobody can say for certain. But the brain, it turns out, does not go quietly. Within minutes, oxygen stops reaching your cells entirely. This is when the real countdown begins. Without oxygen, your cells can't produce energy the normal way. So they switch to a backup system, one that produces acid as a byproduct. That acid starts to build up inside your tissues. Your blood, without a heartbeat to keep it moving, begins to settle. Gravity takes over where circulation used to be. Blood pools in whatever part of your body is lowest, staining the skin there a deep purplish red within 30 minutes to 2 hours. Forensic scientists call this lividity. They use it to figure out not just when someone died, but whether the body was moved afterward. Your body, in other words, starts telling a story the instant it stops living one, because you were never sterile to begin with. Your gut alone carries trillions of bacteria, an entire ecosystem that spent your whole life digesting your food and, in exchange, got fed and kept warm. When you die, that arrangement ends. There's no more immune system holding the balance in place. So your own bacteria begin to spread beyond the gut, moving into tissues they were never allowed to touch in life. Researchers studying what's now called the thanatomicrobiome, essentially the microbiome of death, have found that this bacterial migration follows a remarkably consistent pattern from body to body. A study led by forensic scientist Gulnaz Javan found that this process is so predictable that microbial activity itself can help estimate time of death, almost like a bacterial clock ticking inside you. The organisms that once helped keep you alive are, within hours, quietly starting to break you down. By 24 hours, this process is already visible. Enzymes that were once locked safely inside your own cells begin leaking out, starting to digest the tissues around them. Skin can begin to show the faintest green discoloration in the lower abdomen, usually the first visible external sign, because that's where bacterial concentration is highest. This is the early edge of putrefaction, though most of the visible dramatic changes are still days away. Temperature, humidity, and even body composition can speed this up or slow it down dramatically. A body left in summer heat can show these signs far faster than one kept. Your muscles are entering a strange kind of standoff. For the first few hours after death, your body is actually completely limp. This is called the primary flaccid stage, and it surprises people who expect stiffness right away. That stiffness comes later. It starts when calcium floods into your muscle fibers and gets trapped there, because without energy, the tiny molecular pumps that normally clear it out can't do their job. The calcium locks your muscle proteins together. This is rigor mortis. It usually begins 2 to 6 hours after death, starting in the smaller muscles of the face and jaw before spreading to the larger muscles of the body. By 12 hours, most of you is rigid. Why does it eventually go away? Because decomposition breaks the muscle fibers down entirely, and by roughly 36 hours, the stiffness releases for good. Your temperature is dropping the entire time, on a fairly predictable schedule that forensic investigators have studied for over a century. Right after death, your body cools by about 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit per hour, though this depends heavily on the surrounding environment. This process even has a name, algor mortis, and it's one of the oldest tools used to estimate time of death, dating back to techniques doctors were already refining in the 19th century. A body found still warm tells a very different story than one that has managed to unsettle people the most. Your brain, the organ that made you who you were, is one of the fastest parts of you to change, because it's soft, fatty, and packed with the same bacteria-fed blood vessels as everywhere else. Without oxygen, brain cells begin dying within minutes, but the visible structural breakdown unfolds over the following hours and days. The very thing that stored your memories and generated your sense of self is, ironically, among the first things to go. None of this happens because something has gone wrong. It happens because something is going right, in the sense that your body has always run on systems designed to break down and recycle material, whether that material is yesterday's lunch or, eventually, itself. Decomposition isn't a malfunction. It's your biology completing the same job it's been quietly doing your entire life, just without you there to interrupt it anymore. Which brings us back to that funeral you've imagined. Somewhere between the calm final moments people picture and the science of what actually unfolds, there's an uncomfortable truth. Your body was never really yours to keep still. It was always a process, one that started before you were born and simply continues, unbothered, after you're gone. You spend your whole life imagining the finish line. But your body was never built to stop. It was only ever built to change.